maybe changed things a little bit to be more modern? And was that difficult to make that switch because you didn't want to move from tradition?
Adoni?
Someone's calling me. I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to.
5 hours a day, but you don't know that when you have your own business, you work 5 hours a day, but you don't know that when you have your own business, you work 24 hours a day. That's the thing.
Hey friends, and welcome to the Wine CEO podcast. I'm Sarah, your certified sommelier and host, and today I'm so excited to be interviewing Evie and Antonis Dourakis of the Dourakis Family Winery on the island of Crete in Greece. And Antonis and Evie talk about the unique blessings and challenges of owning and operating a family winery. We talk through some of their wines and how they've looked at the importance of tradition while also bringing new modern winemaking techniques and new trends into their family business. It's an awesome episode and one you're not going to want to miss. So let's dive into my interview with Antonis and Evie. Well, Wine CEO podcast followers, I'm so excited because today I have Evie and Antonis Dourakis from the Dourakis Family Winery here to talk to us a little bit about their winery, their family, the island of Crete, and then some of their wines as well. So Antonis and Evie, welcome to the Wine CEO.
Hey, thank you for having us, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So what I think would be wonderful for the listeners is if, first of all, you could just tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you each got into wine, and then a little bit about the history of your family's winery.
Yeah, should I begin or should
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Such a gentleman. Okay. So my name is Evie and I'm the older one. Apparently it's not very obvious. So anyway, I'm the older one and I have studied economics in the University of Macedonia in North Greece. This is a family business, as you said, and our father started it back in 1988. So back then, we had two options for both of us. I mean, I would either study enology or do the economic university, and I chose the economic university. So I have studied economics. And regarding wine, I love wine. I love drinking wine, and it's nice to be in a family business so versatile like this one, because in this case, you have a lot of things that you can actually work on during any period of time. It's such a live family business, and it all year long. There are so many opportunities and so many fields to work on. So it's nice for both of us to work together in this profession.
So what actually my sister meant to tell you is that there was my father, our family has no other way. It was like either you do that or you can do the other. You can do math or you can do wine. You can choose whatever you want. This is what she was talking about. There was not a lot of options.
Sky's the limit.
in those two categories. I remember when we were actually walking downtown in Kenya with my sister, my mother, my father, and he was making us like to go and ask to get like orders from different wine shops and go in. I was like maybe like 5 years old, and he said, go inside, introduce yourself, and ask him if he wants anything to get him and deliver. Or it was like, oh, let's drink some wine. What do you smell? Maybe it was water. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Was water or something. And I was saying something like, oh, I smell strawberries. And he was like, oh my God, you have such a good nose. You're gonna be such an amazing winemaker, such a great guy. So yeah, this is how we entered the wine business.
It was propaganda, Sarah.
Yeah.
It was this way or another way.
I love it. That's amazing. And then Antonis, what's your role in the winery today?
So I study in Germany winemaking and enology in Geisenheim. I mean, when you go to a school like that, you learn everything. You learn how is the weather and how it affects the vines, how you make wine, about the soil, about the marketing, about the sales. You do a little bit of everything in schools like that. And of course, you get an idea of how it doesn't work. And here, when I came in, I mean, you think you know everything when you're done school, but actually you don't know nothing. And you start doing whatever is there to be done, and you help a little bit down in the bottling line, you help in the winemaking. And right now, because I'm half a year, I'm actually in the US, and half a year I'm here. Um, I'm doing the winemaking. Of course, not alone. We have a few people working here, and they help a lot. Do a little bit whatever I can do through online by helping my sister with the marketing part. So a little bit of everything. I'm scratching the surface of everything here.
I love it. And so Evie, you're helping really run the winery. You kind of manage the business. You do a lot of the marketing and the PR, right? Is that kind of all encompassing of what your role is?
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, when we say we work, you say, so I have a job and I work 8 hours a day, but then I'm gonna quit my job and I start my own business and work like 5 hours a day. But you don't know that when you have your own business, you work 24 hours a day. That's the thing. So it's really very difficult, and we actually do a lot more than we should. I mean, we don't have like, of course, I'm in the administration and I do all the planning and the marketing and everything, but again, so many people. I mean, we're a team, we're doing so many things, and we're actually from creating a label to choosing the blend to make sure that every day the right people work at the right spots of the it's really so many things to do and so many things to be done, so it's not only one thing.
I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure in managing a family business, right? Because you're right. You have so many jobs. You have to kind of pick up little things that may not be assigned to any particular role, but has to get done. But there's probably a lot of pride in that, right? I mean, you're running this multi-generational business that carries so much, I'm sure, sentimental value to you because this is something that your father started. So what an awesome thing to be able to be a part of. I love it.
And hopefully the generations will go on with that. I mean, this is the goal to make sure that a lot more.
We started the propaganda.
Yes,
too.
we did. We know how to.
I love it.
So now his daughters and my son, they're, we started talking about it already. My God, we're becoming like our father.
I love it. That's awesome. Now, so I did a mini series on Greece, as you know, and I did an episode on Crete, and Crete is such an incredible island. I mean, largest island in Greece, right? And has really unique terroir across the island. But I'd love to hear from your perspective for a second. You didn't get to pick having a winery in Crete. You just have one there. But what would you say is so unique about Crete? What could you say to some of the listeners or the viewers about why Crete is such an amazing place to grow wine?
Crete is really amazing because actually on our backside over there, there is this mountain line, especially on this part of the island, Kanya area. We have the mountain line of white, we call them the White Mountains, Lefkari. They go up to 2,500 meters above sea level, and there's always snow every year around. Not always, I mean, every year there's snow on top of them. And it melts during the summertime, but it gives a lot of water for us to for the agriculture. It creates a natural fence between the south and the north, and helps a lot, especially in the summertime when the hot wind comes from Sahara. It stops through those mountain lines, and of course a nice cold breeze comes through every night, also during the summertime, and cools down the grapes. But also it's like the diversity of the grape varieties, the different soils that they are, and they're going to give different results. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of data on past centuries and how people, not how people were making wine, but we don't have data about the wine that they were making. How was it, and what did they do exactly? We hear all the traditions, and we try to take some of these traditions into the modern winemaking, which makes it even more interesting. But we have a lot of grape varieties, different ones, and very diversity on the ground, on the soil, and on the microclimates here on the island, which makes it very fascinating and very hard at the same time.
I'm sure. And one of the things that I talked about on the show a lot, and something that I know is really important to your winery, is sustainability. And I think I read on your website that your grapes are all organic. Is that true?
Yeah, well, we organically cultivate all of our vineyards. The thing is that with being certified is one thing, and organically cultivation is another.
Sure.
So we, unfortunately, our own vineyards are not enough because the demand is more than the offer. So we need to also buy grapes from farmers we have contracts with. And sometimes there are things like I mean, we are obviously control what they do, and we know the procedure, and our enologists and our viticulturists
Maybe the countries, yeah.
go there and check everything out. But the thing is that sometimes being certified is a total different thing, and this is why we're not certified organically on our labels with all of our products, but some of them. But our own vineyards are all organically cultivated. We are sustainable, we are trying to be as sustainable as possible. We have our own solar panel system, so 80% of the energy we use comes from the sun. We recycle everything we use. We also buy the lightest bottles on the market in order. It's like the small things we're trying to do, and my father used to do them before even. So there is this company that he saw that recycles everything in Kanya, which is a very notable, very important recycling company in Greece in general. They're doing a great job. But my father started recycling before the DISA was even established, so he knows what he's doing, and he's been like very sensitive to the environment before it was needed. Now there's the need that we have to be sensitive with the environment. Actually, the environment demands to be, it has to be sensitive with it because of all this climate change and everything. So anyway, yeah, that's it. We are organically cultivated, but not certified organically with all of our labels, but we're definitely sustainable.
That's awesome. No, and I love hearing that, because I think often folks are looking for it on the label, but there are many wineries like yourselves who are using incredible practices that are healthy for the earth, that are great for cultivating the grapes. But because of regulations, it makes it difficult to label. But it's good to understand that the winemakers are making those efforts, and that they are helping make really clean wines. They're not just adding chemicals into what we're drinking, but it may not say organic on the bottle, right? So I love hearing that, the different actions that you're taking to be more sustainable as well. That's great. I love that that's been a history in the winery for a long time. Now, I know that guests can come visit your winery too, right? And can come taste your wines there, right? Tell us a little bit about that in case anyone was coming to visit Crete and wanted to come taste some wine.
You're coming to Crete, definitely. You have to. There's no option for that. My brother does a US in Crete 5 times a year at least.
I love
we're waiting for you. A lot of wineries wait for you here.
Okay. That's great.
We have we actually when my father, because our father started he studied also in Germany winemaking years ago, and over there's this culture where they have in South Germany, where they have like the what's it called, the wine stoops. Like there's like they have all above the wineries. They used to have like a special place where they could open for a few weeks per year in order to serve some cold food and sell their wines. So he saw that idea. He said, "Okay, I have to do exactly the same thing." Like he had in his mind how it was working there in Germany, where they had on the bottom they had the winery and the cellars and everything, and on the top part they had the area where they would serve the customers. And this is what he had in his mind. This is what he created. So we are we are one of the first wineries here on Crete that they have guests coming in and show them around to our winery and try wine. And of course, this is for us very helpful as a business because we can tell exactly people what we are doing, show them exactly what we are doing. We open our doors, they try all the wines. Also, they can. We have a very small restaurant where they can have some Cretan delicacies and some Cretan food where they can try here as well, and combine with the wine. Because wine and food, they are like one thing, and the wine is made. The flavor of the wines are actually fits to the flavor of the food, and especially right now here, when it's summer and there's like so many vegetables growing, and most of the plates and the menu is actually vegetables that we grow or some other growers around here the region. It's an excellent place to come and try wine and eat some food.
I love it. I definitely agree. Food and wine have to go together, right? They're the perfect combination. So I love it. Now, before we dive into the wines, we're going to get to the fun part and taste some of your wines here in a second. Tell me a bit about your portfolio. So really briefly, overview of the grapes that you grow, the wines that you're making. Yeah, just kind of quick commercial for all the wines that you make.
So yeah, in Crete there are 11 indigenous grape varieties, and we grow most of them here. We have Villana, Malvasia, Viviano, of course, which is a very, very important grape variety at this moment. Mandilari, Kotsufali, and our star of this winery, at least, is Romeico, which is a Cretan grape variety that we love. And we have 4 different styles of wines from this grape variety. And we have a Blanc de Noir, we have an Orange de Noir, or a Blanc de Noir with a slightly oxidized style, a sparkling wine, and a dessert wine, which makes it's a very versatile grape, and it had bad reputation back then, and now we're trying to make it fun again. So it's really a very big how to say this, opportunity for us to showcase this style of wine and this grape variety with all these different styles of wines. So we've got like about 15 different labels at the moment. I think we use almost all of the grape varieties on the island, almost all of them.
Okay. And I've definitely seen more attention around indigenous Greek grape varieties just in the last few years. I think there's still opportunity for that, but have you felt that as well? Do you feel like consumers around the world are really starting to become more familiar with some of these indigenous varieties?
Definitely. They are more, especially, I mean, the star outside Greece is Assyrtiko, for sure. People like Evie, she was in London at the wine affair,
Wow.
and
Everybody was asking about the Assyrtiko. It was like, oh, you're from Greece, you have Assyrtiko. It was crazy. Everybody loved it.
which is a fun grape variety, and we still do not grow it yet, just a little bit. But there's been a lot of, I mean, people that come here on the island, first of all, they only ask for local grape varieties. Of course, they want to see what is a Syrah that grows here on the island, but for sure, what they want to try and see, it's indigenous grape varieties, and even also like the importers outside Greece, like in Germany, in Belgium, in Finland, they all prefer Cretan indigenous grape varieties that people do not know, and they are getting something different style out of it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's probably the biggest trend that I've seen. I think folks are looking for something different, something exciting. And that's where I feel like Cretan varieties and a lot of Greek varieties in general have a little edge in the market right now, because folks are kind of tired of another Chardonnay, another Sauvignon Blanc. So it's an exciting time for Greece. I had a really fun time doing my Greek mini series and personally learning more about a lot of the indigenous varieties, but also seeing how consumers are becoming excited about it as well. So I'm hopeful that that means a lot of excitement of new travelers coming to Crete and more folks trying your wines and others from the island, because there's a lot of excitement and exciting things to try there. So I love it. Awesome.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna mention this one briefly. But we're such a small country, and we produce so little wine, and we have more than 300 grape varieties, at least that we know of. There are many more coming, our way. And as Mr. Lazarakis said, we're the Jurassic Park of grape varieties here.
It's true. It's true. I love it. Well, let's dive into the wines that you sent me, which I'm so excited. I'm embarrassed to admit that I have never tried a Romeico or a Vidiano. So this is a first for me, because I can't really find these grapes in Orlando. So I'm so thrilled that you guys sent me some. I'm excited to try them.
Perfect. Let's give it a try. We're excited. So what I say about Romeico, I say that he's like a criminal. He's like so multiple ideas. And because it's a red grape variety, and well, you can see the bunch. It has like some red berries, green berries on top when it's on 100% ripe, and they're all sweet. And I mean, people used to know it to create like this very like sherry type wine, where people were doing it at home. They were putting all the grapes into a big press, squeezing a little bit with their feet, let it for a few days until it would rise up the skins, and then they would just remove the fermenting juice out, putting in the barrels. And what they were doing also, after when like November, December came, they would take this young wine and they would add it back on the barrels with the old wine. So it was like a kind of a Solero system, but without them knowing about it. So we, as a winery, we started in 2011 working with that grape variety, Romeico, making it sun-dried dessert to see how people react on that. And then we did some sparkling wine, Blanc de Noir, from a very high altitude vineyard. And we have now also the Blanc de Noir for a couple of years now, I think, where we put the whole bunch, the whole grape comes into the press. We squeeze it. Takes about 6 hours. Like, it's driving me crazy when this happens, like, because it's a very slow process to get the juice out without not a lot of color. And I mean, the result is really like we really like it, and people enjoy it as well. Yeah, if you see also like the color on your glass, it's not like 100% like green, gold green, what people would think about a white wine. It has this slightly like pinky peach kind of color into it. Of course, it changes through time because the color is hidden inside the wine. So when we bottle it, this is like
Clear.
gold green, and then of course through the time it changes.
So the color changes because of like slight oxidation?
Yeah, of course. Like when we do add some sulfites when we bottle, and those sulfites they kind of mask the color. Like whenever you add some sulfites into your wine, it changes a little bit the different chemical reactions into the wine. And what's something that you can see, like if you have like a pink wine or rosé wine, and when you add it, it's gonna get more lighter in color. But of course, then through time, when the oxidation, some oxygen is inside the bottle, it will change. It will captivate those sulfites, and all the sulfites gonna captivate some oxygen, but still some oxygen is gonna be there, and it's gonna start changing and make the color darker into the bottle.
Okay. The color is beautiful. I mean, I could tell immediately. It definitely has a darker hue to it. I love the little bit of a pink peachy color. That's delicious. It's very like herbal vegetal, but refreshing, crisp. You still get some acid. Oh, it's very acidic, actually. That's really delicious. You know, it's funny. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know if I was expecting it to be a little more like kind of like fresh berries, kind of fruit forward because of the color. But it's not at all what I expected, but it's absolutely delicious.
Thank you so much.
Our enologist, thank you.
It's not the enologist. It's like there's so many things, so little things that what actually an enologist can do. Most of the time it's the vineyard, it's the grape itself. And I think in this particular case, it's a very nice grape variety. And it used to be almost the only grape variety on this side of the island. And I can definitely see why.
Yeah. So you were saying that with the Romaico, you also make a sparkling, right? And then you said you also made a sweet wine with the Romaico. So it's a very versatile grape, obviously. There's a lot you can do with it.
As I told you, it's a criminal. He has so many ideas. And I think it's a part of the future of the Cretan viticulture.
This is such a perfect summertime wine because it has beautiful aromas. Like it still has some light, fresh fruit on the nose. But like I said, it's very refreshing. I feel like for a summertime wine, I mean, you could pair this with almost any type of summer cuisine. It's really delicious, but it's also not as light as I expected it to be. Like it still has some good body and it lingers on the palate. It has a really great finish.
I like the minerality, like the saltiness that leaves like on the end, like an aftertaste. I really love it. It makes you a little bit thirsty for more.
Definitely.
Somebody asked me, is this a white wine or a rosé wine? They did, and I'm like, what?
I could see it. If they were like imagining a really, really light colored rosé, I mean, it doesn't look as straw yellow as a typical white wine, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's delicious. And I love the label too. I know we're not supposed to pick wines based on labels. I always tell everyone that, but this is so cute. I love the little
Hey, do you want me to tell you a story about this label?
Yeah, it was a very long, took us a long to decide about the label, about the names. We do a lot of stargazing nights. Yeah.
So we do a lot of stargazing nights at the winery. So we have our own astronomer. An astronomer we work with, that is, and he comes here with a telescope, and we turn all the lights off, and then we have a seminar on a beautiful, like, how the wine is connected to the stars, and then again we actually see the stars that are obvious that night, like Crone and the moon and Mars, whatever is available at that night. And we actually, this is why mostly all of our wines are named after constellations
Oh, okay.
or Greek gods.
Let's see.
Like it.
I mean,
I'm the bird of heaven, and it's actually a constellation as well. So Zelos is a Greek god and a constellation. So it's 88 of them. We're finishing them, all of them. We're using them all.
I love it. Very cool. That's so fun that you do the astronomy nights at the winery too. That is really cool. I love it. Very fun. Okay, so we're moving to the Zelos next. I can see. Did I say that? Zelos?
I suggest Zelos because I mean we have 3 wines, but the last one, Lichnos Vidiano, has a little bit more oaky into it, and this one is more. Zelos is made out of Malvasia di Candia aromatica. This is the name of the grape variety.
Okay.
It's a very aromatic grape variety. It has a long history in Greece and of course Mediterranean area. I don't know exactly the history behind it, but it used to be when the Venetians went on the island, so 14th century, it used to be the #1 export product from Crete, Malvasia wine. What the writers and the authors say is that Malvasia wine used to be a blend, a sweeter wine made from different grape varieties. And maybe one of the grape varieties was actually Malvasia di Candia aromatica. So yeah, it has a long history on the island of Crete. And this is the wine that we have in our glass now is from 2022. Here again, as the first one, just in the still tank. There is no oak. Let's give it a try.
Immediately, it is very aromatic, so it definitely meets the name aromatica. And the grape is Malvasia aromatica, or was there another word in there too?
Yeah, there is a Malvasia di Candia aromatica.
The Candia?
Di Candia, di Candia.
The Candia.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
Candia used to be the name that the Venetians gave to the island.
Okay. Yeah, definitely very aromatic, but I love it. This makes me think of like springtime. I mean, it's like you get the floral. There's like, is that like apricot or pear?
Yeah, pear. I love the pear.
Yeah,
But
that's delicious. I've had Malvasia before, but I don't know if it was Malvasia aromatica. It was Malvasia from mainland Greece. So I'm gonna bet it was different.
There is so many. There is also one other grape. So what I've learned or what I've read is because back in the 14th century it was so everybody was like so obsessed. It was like a trend, something a little bit like Cabernet back in the days. No? So all the ships that were picking up some vines from Greece or wherever, and they were bringing it back to Italy, and they were baptizing everything something with Malvasia. So there is Malvasia Nera, Malvasia Bianca, Malvasia di Candia, Malvasia di Candia aromatica. So in the book of viticulture in Italy, and I'm not an expert, someone told me about it, said that there are more than 70 different names referring to of grape varieties referring have like the Malvasia inside their name, or like a synonym of some vines. So yeah, this one is the most aromatic one of all of them.
You know, it's very aromatic, but you know how there's some wines that can be a little too aromatic. It could be like a little off-putting. This is not. This is delicious. I feel like it's this perfect balance between, you can tell it has a medium body, but it's still acidic. It has great aromatic notes, like it's floral, but it's not overpowering. Like this to me would be a really great food pairing wine with like salads and different types of, maybe you're doing like a chicken dish or something where you want something with a little more body. Like the first one, I feel like you could do with fish, you could do with a lot of things because of the minerality. But I mean, this you could do with pork even. Like, I mean, this is really, really delicious.
So I think Malvasia, I think it gives some notes of like pesto, of basil, And I think it's also a great combination with some pasta with pesto and some cheese.
I could see that definitely with the floral, very aromatic notes. Yeah, it's delicious. I mean, do folks ever compare this to like Gewürztraminer or some other pretty aromatic wines? Because it's not quite that aromatic. It's definitely, it's like,
I think also Gewürztraminer is more sweeter kind of like on the nose. This one is more herbal, as you said, like it has like a different kind of aroma, a different category on its own.
yeah,
So yeah, I can see that definitely.
absolutely delicious. I'm already in love. Okay, I got to put it down because it's 9 o'clock in the morning here. And if I drink the whole glass, I won't get to the third one here.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so the last one is Vidiano, which I've heard a lot about, and I'm really excited to try it. And Evie, you were saying that Vidiano in general is kind of, it's trendy right now. A lot of folks are learning more about it. It's becoming really popular. So do you know why that's happening? Is it just kind of,
I don't know. People tend to compare this to if they talk about Vidiano, they're like, oh, that tastes like a Chardonnay, and everybody says that. So whenever they ask us here, what does it remind you of? And it's like, what do you mean? It's unique, of course, but again, if they want to see like this, if they need a comparison, this should be it. And I know that there are wineries that actually grow this in Australia, I think.
oh, wow, okay.
Vidiano. So I'm not sure. Anyway, Vidiano Acetico, maybe. Anyway, it's trending. So from Crete, this is what they are actually. This is what they need. They know of. I mean, of all the indigenous grapes, this is what they talk more. So maybe it's easier to taste. Maybe it reminds them of of international grape variety. I don't know why. But for us, this is like it has 10% of this wine has matured in a French oak barrel, 20% in a foeder, and then the rest was blended fresh. So there are the three different styles of the same grape variety blended in one, and it's 2021. This one.
Yeah.
So it's really it's a nice wine. It's an easygoing wine, and it's fuller. The body is fuller than the other two. It's totally different. They are almost totally different. So it's really another white. I mean, wine is like this is the idea of the wine is this, that you can taste so many different wines. You can taste like 1,000 wines a day, and they could all taste different. I mean, it's and also every winery on the island makes a Vidiano, so there are so many different styles of the same grape variety to taste. So it's great.
I'm curious to hear, because obviously, you know, you both have been really helping run the winery for a long time. Do you feel like you've kept the same styles that your father had, or have you kind of maybe changed things a little bit to be more modern? And was that difficult to make that switch because you didn't want to move from tradition?
Adoni?
Someone's calling me. I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to. So
Oh my God.
it is
Good question, Sarah.
you just found the spot.
Yeah.
It's hard when you go when I started, when I came back, I was like, I'm gonna change everything. I'm gonna be like, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, I don't like this one, what's that? And but of course you see that you cannot do that. Like you can do step by step, and you can see what is you go into a new business that you don't know what's going on, you don't know what are your customers and what's happening, so you have to go step by step. You cannot change everything in one night. There's a phrase my father always says, that you cannot cut a tree with just hitting it once. You have to hit it multiple times in order to cut it. So it takes time, and of course styles do change close. Like there was Chardonnay, there was Cabernet, there was Rosé, there was natural wines, there was amphoras, there was this, there was that. You can, as a winery, you can follow that. Not like a small winery business and a family business. You want to follow it because you want to be inside the market and what's going on, and you want to also experience to see, okay, what happens if we put the same wine in an amphora, or what if you put it in an egg tank. Of course you want to try those things, but I mean, there is, you have to do it slowly, and you have to see what fits for you and what fits for your winery, and what of course fits for your customers. So yes, we've changed a lot. I mean, both of us, we are here like almost 20 years, no, maybe not 20 years, less than 20, 15 years we're here. And we're working aside with our father and together. And of course, everybody puts something different on a small piece on what's happening here with a completely different aspect. Like I'm thinking the wine itself, everything's more of the marketing aspect. My father thinks of how it was and it should stay how it was. Like, so you cannot change everything, and especially when you have like people that they made something out of zero, and they like in a family business, you have like your father or your mother or your grandfather that they made something on their own and from zero, from
Yeah.
scratch. We like, it's respect. Like, it's very hard to do it this day. You cannot do it, and of course they don't want to see things changing that fast. So you have to do it in a more gentle way. Yeah.
But it's nice. I mean, they have so. I mean, uh, to be honest, I don't work at the winery, like at the production area at all, or I don't make any decisions on the wine itself. But even the small things, like to change the label, change the name of the wine, like let's talk about it. But people know this wine, yeah. But bye, you have to make this slight change in order to make it more look more modern or updated. And of course, you cannot follow all the trends. Like you cannot do all the, because you get lost, of course. But again, just follow fashion the way, like
The
clothes.
way that fits for us.
Yeah.
Fashion is something that comes today and changes tomorrow.
Yeah.
You see what's happening, you see the trends, you cannot stay back. Of course, you must follow or be 100% sure of what you're doing. And maybe in like 10 years from now, you're going to be the fashion and you're going to be leading the strings. But of course, this is also, you have to have always a balance.
But again, you have to respect the elder. I mean, our father would produce the wine in the morning, issue the invoices at noon, and deliver the wine himself in the afternoon.
Wow.
So now we have like 20 people working for this winery. We are still a small family business, but again, we've grown since then. So now we need strategy, we need marketing, we need like 8 people working at the winery at the tasting terrace, which is like, back then we would do it, us too. I mean, I would just office and the phone calls, and I had to make that and make some wine tastings and then go back to the office, finish my. So now it's bigger, it's getting bigger and bigger, and that's evolution. But again, sometimes you have, as my brother said, you have to be like gentle and do it step by step. Otherwise, we don't want to upset anybody.
People that have
Our
family,
father.
people that have family business know what we're talking about.
Yeah, they do.
I'm sure there's probably a blessing and a curse with a family business, right? I mean, it's such a wonderful blessing to be able to work with your family, to have this incredible tradition that you can carry on to your children. But there's this curse of like, I work with my dad and that's really hard because he doesn't want to change, or even siblings, right? I mean, I have siblings and I'm sure sometimes you both don't agree. And that's
no, we love it. Oh, sorry. It's so difficult. The psychologists are all very happy to have family business clients,
I'm sure.
But it's really nice. And it's very, we're blessed. I would study something different to what I have studied now if it wasn't for this business. But maybe I wouldn't be able to make ends meet. Like maybe I wouldn't be able to actually, I don't know. It's a nice thing to have your own business. But again, the more you work and the more you can actually create, and the more things you want to change, the more trouble you get into. So you have to have a balance. That's it.
Sure. I love it. That's awesome. Okay, I derailed us. Yes. So the video, no.
So Viviano is like what Evie was talking about. Like you have like this more bold character comparing to the rest, and it seems that we always try to keep up, not to keep up, to stay back for a year until we bring it to the market, because it was through oak, part of it's through stainless steel tank. We do a badinage in both. We stir up the lees for about 6 months, and then we blend it back together. So it gives a little bit more bolder character. And yes, people do actually compare it, or when they ask, "Oh, what should we compare Vidiano, we do tend to say that it looks like it might remind you a little bit of Chardonnay, maybe a little bit of a Viognier, toward that direction, and people really enjoy it and like it for sure.
I could understand that. It definitely has that more kind of yellow apple, warmer fruit kind of immediate aroma and taste. Definitely not as, I would say, acidic or mineral forward as the first two, but really balanced. I mean, I even get a little bit of like warm vanilla on the palate as it kind of finishes. So I feel like this is a white wine you could drink all year long. This is something that even in the winter time, you could probably enjoy, and it would still be really, really pleasant because it's a little more full bodied. And I'm guessing some of that comes from the oak exposure too, right?
Yeah, for sure. The oak and also the yeast that they stay inside, they release all these different components. They release all the proteins and the monoproteins. And when you stir it up and you bring them there on the bottom of the tank or of your barrel, and they go all over the place, they give this more mellow, more softer flavor to the wine.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Mellow and soft is probably the best way to describe this. Absolutely delicious. I feel like so approachable, really easy to drink. Doesn't matter the time of day or even the season. The first two, they're all very distinct, which I love. I mean, the first one was so bright and crisp and refreshing. The second one, very aromatic. And this third one, very full, rounded, soft, all delicious. Really, really outstanding. I mean, I'm so impressed. I think one of the things that I was really trying to help consumers understand in my Greek mini series was that there's some really incredible wines coming out of Greece, right? And even though there could have been a perception for a long time that maybe Greek wines were made in bulk and they weren't the highest quality, that is not the case anymore. And I think you all are a perfect example of that because, wow, these are phenomenal wines and probably grape varieties that folks might not be as familiar with, but absolutely outstanding. And I would say so exciting compared to some of the traditional varieties that folks might be familiar with. I have to ask, I need to know the story of this label because it looks like a man's eyes on it.
So
yeah.
No,
Go
you
ahead.
go,
Yeah,
go,
sure.
go ahead.
So this is our grandfather, really. This is a hand sketch of our grandfather, our father's father. So we had a couple of photos from back then, and a very, very talented graphic designer from Athens took these photos, and he actually drew this sketch, which was perfect. So we used the eyes, and lichnos is actually the oil lamp that people used to use in order to go down the cellar and taste, see how the barrels are doing and everything. So this is lichnos, means the oil lamp, and Vidiano, of course, it's the grape variety, and the eyes of our grandfather there. It's a very, very nice.
He had his down cellar. He has this place where he had his barrels, and he was going with the oil lamp to look around and see what's going on to all the barrels. And his name is also Andreas,
like our
father, and so yeah.
This is the only label that is not named after a constellation that never will change.
I love that. I got the chills. I thought that's so sweet because it's also, I mean, such a tribute to your family, and again, the history of the winery and the great family culture that you have at Dourakis. So I love that. That's beautiful. Very beautiful wines and just incredible stories behind each of the labels, each of the wines too. So it definitely shows the care and attention that is put into both the making of the wine, but then sharing of the wine with others. It's all a story, right? So I love that. This has been amazing. Antonis, Evie, thank you so much. Is there anything that is exciting and coming up for the Dourakis Winery? Maybe you guys are working on a new project, something special happening in the coming year?
I mean, we always put something new into the mix. Last year we had a new basement, a new cellar that's going underground. This year we are planning some small concerts during the summertime at our winery. Some new plantings, things like that. Always keeps us busy here.
We always change something, like put back in the cash cow, put money back. It's great. That's what we do. So yeah, a year ago we had a new wine tasting area and the shop, and then a small museum at the winery. And this year we have finished the cave cellar, the new cave cellar. We have two big cave cellars, and then we're preparing the new tasting terrace. So it's always putting money back into the business to make it more, even more sustainable and even more useful for us. So it's, if somebody says that a winemaker can earn a lot of money and make a great living, that's not true. No. No.
And so, I so appreciate hearing that, because I think, there's this glorification of maybe those wineries that are run by corporations and they make all this money, and you just assume that, winemaking is this easy thing that you sit there and you make all this money. But I love hearing your story that as a family, it's something you're so proud of, but you really toil over it. Like, you have to work really hard and you're constantly reinventing to make sure that you are meeting the needs of the consumer right now. And I think it's a beautiful profession, but it obviously is one that is very challenging. And it sounds like you work 24/7 and your families are there with you, toiling through the challenges.
That's true. That's true. But thank you, Sarah, for your kind words. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yes, of course, it was absolutely my pleasure to have you on the show. And I will go ahead and link in the show notes for today's episode, the Dourakis Winery website, as well as everything about the wines that we tasted today, so that the listeners and followers can go ahead and check them out for themselves, and maybe even come to Hania and visit you on the island of Crete.
Thank you so much. And we hope to see everybody coming to the wine and try the wines as well.
And especially you. You're so welcome here. You're so welcome here.
Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed my conversation with Antoni and Evie. They were absolutely wonderful and a pleasure to speak with. If you have any questions about this episode or wine in general, don't hesitate to send me an email, sarah@thewineceo.com, or send me a DM on Instagram @thewineceo. Check out the show notes from today's episode with all the information about the Dourakis Family Winery. And if you loved today's conversation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that others can find it as well. Until next week, friends, I hope you drink something new and delicious, and I will catch you all in the next episode of the Wine CEO podcast.